The preamble is what we call aspirational. We aspire to it. The first words in it are always great words to me. I used to have them so I could put them in a little frame in my office, and I don't know what happened to them. But it says, under all is the land. Under all is the land. And when I speak to realtor groups around here, there, and around, I always point that out, that we cannot think of anything in American commerce. You can't name a thing that doesn't involve the real estate business somehow, some way. It says in that first paragraph, upon its wise utilization and widely allocated ownership depend the survival and growth of free institutions and of our civilization. Well, that's pretty heavy language there, isn't it? Our civilization depends on the wide allocation of land use. Well, when I speak like that, I usually tell this little story. I said I was going to tell it anyway because I think it's worth telling. When I was growing up, my mom and daddy, one of the great blessings of my life was having a good mom and daddy, as I know many of you would share that sentiment. And my mom and daddy, would always say to us when we'd be leaving to go somewhere for some weekend trip or, something out of the ordinary, Daddy would always say, y'all remember who you are. That was what he'd always say. Some of y'all have heard the same thing, hadn't you? Remember who you are. Well, what was he telling you? He was saying, you got my last name being dragged along behind you, and y'all remember who you are. We got certain standards, and I want you to live up to them, et cetera, et cetera. And my mama would say, follow it up with, and that somebody loves you. That's strong, ain't it? No. Well, I always say that to real estate practitioners. Remember who you are. Who are you? Well, you're the people that take that little old couple that ain't never bought a house and is scared to death and don't know how to do it, and you take them and you show them how they can get financed, and you put them in a car and you drive them around and you calm them down when they're scared to death, and you put them in that first house. And then they climb up on that first rung of what we call the housing ladder, because now they're going to be in a situation where they can take that next step and buy another one in 5 years, call you back, you come sell that one for them and let them buy another one. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about that. Despite all the 401ks and all the other retirement vehicles we have today, the equity in a home is still the centerpiece of the financial assets of most American families. That is an honorable thing to do. You do a great thing for them in terms of serving them because of the financial decision they make when they buy that first house. But to show you that I ain't a hard-hearted man, it ain't all about dollars and cents, what else happens there? Well, little old children gather around that kitchen table every night, and they eat meals, and they sit in there and watch television together, and on Christmas morning they all gather in there in that den around that Christmas tree, and they had that tree house in the backyard, and all those memories are there. Well, we've talked about that already, about the fabric of the American family and what it means to the culture of the United States of America. So you take pride in what you do. You remember who you are. And you remember that somebody loves you for what you do. At the end, on down the line there, it boils down to that golden rule that we know about, that we've heard always and often, that is a basis for a lot of world religions, but it is the basis or the basis that when Jesus preached the Sermon on the Mount, he said, you boil it all down to two things, love God and love each other. And in effect, you boil it all down to saying every one of them, all the 10 Commandments and all the other law that came after it, boils down into treat other folks like you want to be treated. At the end of the day, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, which is a major, major part of the NAR Code of Ethics.